We are now recording. Anyway, welcome everybody. I'm very happy you're doing this for me and with me and everything. God, I make too much of a big thing of everything, so forgive me.
We're not really playing shows at the moment or anything, so we haven't seen each other all together. Sarah lives in Seattle, and the rest of us are in DC. We all saw each other a week ago. We had a little sort of record release thing for Simpatico at a cool record store here, so we all got to see each other. The four dudes got to see each other there and hang out a little bit. So that was good.
So that's wonderful, and so this is a really nice situation that you have now, where like the band is not working every day.
No.
So it's like this way, like you can function for anything, yeah, right.
The work consists really of just trying to keep up with each other on WhatsApp, so that we know everybody's like approved art and things like that for this Simpatico release. That's really about the extent of the work.
Okay.
Yeah, these re-releases are more work than it would. They're more work than I thought they would be. Getting everything together and some decision making about what to include and not, and how to and art and all sorts of things like that. Really actually take more time. And I don't know if back when we just saw each other in person all the time at practice and tour, if it was just easier or they just happened somehow easier, but it didn't feel like as complicated of a decision-making process back in the day as it sort of is now. Not that there's lots of disagreements, but just the mechanism of sort of like, exchanging ideas and looking at things and stuff, I guess, is a little more complicated these days.
So I guess probably where I would want to take this now is to ask about Simpatico, the record. What was this experience like compared to recording Copacetic? Was that a whole nother process? Because there was like a producer this time. And I imagine that's different than not having a producer.
It was very, we had our producer, John Porter, and he was a taskmaster, and he was very streamlined in his aesthetic. And, we were cutting away bits and making sure that we were playing very well and singing very well. There was a horrible afternoon where I couldn't find a fucking note. And he kind of came into the booth and banged on the note. He was a very nice fellow. But occasionally, I think he got frustrated a couple of times.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if looking back, I think there was a whole period of time that was what yielded our early singles and stuff like that. And we would do songs and maybe they would get discarded. And we went through a couple of lineup changes and stuff before we settled on with Brian on guitar and Sarah singing. And there were just a couple, things before we got to that. But all of that together, that whole period before Copacetic was sort of one kind of era, I think. And then Copacetic, was, we recorded it with Bob Weston, but not a producer situation. And it was sort of like our set. It was kind of like all the songs we had, except for, maybe one didn't make the cut at that time. But then like for Simpatico, we had to write a record, in a sort of shorter period of time and with kind of more intention. And I think that involved us also making some decisions more about what we wanted it to be versus just stumbling through the first couple of years of, the band. And when we decided we wanted to work with a producer and maybe go for a cleaner sound, John Porter, the producer, who's this English guy who's a couple of generations old. He's probably 20. He was probably in his late 40s at the time, or mid 40s or something. I don't know. Something like that at the time. But I mean, he'd been kicking around since literally, I think he produced, I think he promoted the first Led Zeppelin show under that name. And he had been in Roxy Music, and he played with like Eric Clapton, like all sorts of stuff that was like really a whole
I didn't know that.
Really, he played and in Roxy Music, I said, and stuff. And he, but we knew him, I would say, first and foremost from the Smiths. He produced all the most of the early Smith stuff. And we knew from some stories kicking around in magazine articles, whatever, that he had been instrumental in not only the sound of the Smiths, but like putting together like ambitious things like How Soon Is Now, and it seemed almost, I think, at a point like there's no way he'd work with us, And by the time we got through all this machinations of, oh my God, these guys are really going to do it, I think it hit home like, oh, we got to kind of bring the goods. And we had to wedge it into his schedule, our schedule, or something. Like we started like right after, I think the day after Christmas or something. And we had to go we had to go through New Year's in this really tight kind of 3-week period of time with him. But I think once we kind of got going with him, we realized this was not the same as our previous recording things. Like we were going to be in tune and in time, and songs were going to get sharpened, and there weren't going to be excuses. The note was going to be the note. For Sarah had that song she's referring to. For me on drums, it was this song, There's Only One Thing Left to Say, which has this kind of double shuffle feel, which was probably swiped from the Smiths. But anyway, and I just had the hardest time getting it. And this was before, recording on computers. It was so to make edits where you take, a little bit of this performance and a little bit of that performance and combine them. It's literally cutting with a razor blade on this tape. It's totally nerve-wracking. And
just like Beatles.
It was really difficult. It was difficult to play, and it was sort of somewhat difficult, at least emotionally, because you have to kind of confront your limitations, and all that. It almost feels like when you watch these Olympians, right now, and they're talking about all this like emotional, mental part of it. It felt like a lot of that was going on, but I think within a few days, we knew we were in a whole different league, and I think we wanted then to like respond to that, and kind of meet that moment. But for me anyway, it was still one of the most formative, for sure, creative experiences working with him, and he was really good. He was tough, but he also was, kind of inspiring, and I think met us where we were in an appropriate way while still kind of elevating everything. I thought it was a tremendous. I still talk about it to people like all the time. I think working with him was just a great experience.
Yeah, I think also, just if I can jump in, he really helped sharpen and hone and drive our interest in songcraft and songwriting too. I mean, he really wasn't just the performances, but also just, I think he knew like, oh, you need to like shorten this song, you need to like drop that chorus, or that song, yeah, we shouldn't record that. That like, he really, I think he kind of advised us in all aspects and all manner of the songwriting, and in terms of parts and things. He plays guitar on that record, and some of his guitar parts are just, I'm just like, God, that's the right part for the song. Why didn't we think of that?
But I think in retrospect,
sorry, do you, Brian, who plays those parts now, or who did somebody pick those?
I've a lot of the stuff that he put on, I think of it as like the kind of like sparkly bits that sort of sit on top of everything, and I attempted to adopt some of those into change my parts a little bit to incorporate some of that, but but
I think that in his very sort of clever way or whatever, he was sort of, but I think he was playing stuff very much in the style of where, like, Brian, you might have gotten with another couple of weeks,
right?
Like he wasn't like he wasn't laying down blues riffs or whatever. Like it was like very much an extrapolation of the stuff that was there, in a real elevated manner,
Yeah. very complementary to like what we were to the songs, to the parts that existed.
Yeah.
That's really cool though, because to me it definitely sounds like he tried to bring the Velocity Girl sound to a more jangly place, maybe, that might not have been the same sound or something. It just sort of I mean, I don't know if this is probably the best comparison, but it makes me think of the Sundays. You know, it makes me think of like a very sort of like Rough Trade sort of you know, style, if that's a good way to say it.
But we were ready though. I mean, we were ready regardless of John. I think we were ready for that record to just move to that type of a little more cleaner sound, because we had, I don't know, we just have been doing this other thing for a while. So I think it felt like it was the right time, you know. And I think again that he picked up on that, and you know, like he didn't try to put some stamp on it that we weren't with, you know. I think he just tried to bring out the stuff we were talking about and describing, and what he was hearing in the songs.
Was there a reason why it was decided to not remix this album and instead just do a straight remaster of it?
No, I don't think it needed it. I mean, I think on Copacetic, we had a long-standing desire to remix that record from like the day after we left the studio, mixing it the first time in a certain way, or within a few days when we were able to get our head around it. But this was more a chance to give it a fresh remaster and have it on vinyl for people to buy, and get all of the B-sides and the covers that are on the second record out there into the world, you know, as well. We didn't want to just do stuff to do it, you know, like on the first, on Copacetic, we had a real list of reasons and a kind of to-do list to create the record we thought that could always have been. Whereas with this one, I think that we were all been sonically happy with the record for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did anybody have any other points? I'm sorry. That's good. Okay. Sorry.
I have a funny John Porter story though. From a funny story. So
let's hear it.
so New Year's Eve was in the middle of this recording session, and these good friends of ours had this house in this neighborhood in DC, and they always hosted these great New Year's Eve parties. So Kelly now lives in that house. It's a long story, but anyway, our friends had this house, and with these great like bar basement with a bar and stuff, and we would dress up in vintage suits and have parties and have this big blowout there. So anyway, we brought John to this party, and John, you know, all of us are wearing like vintage suits or dresses or whatever, and John was wearing like his dirty jean jacket, and he had like long scraggly rock dude hair, and he's 20, you know, plus years older than the rest of us, and he has a sometimes unintelligible English accent, and we went to the party, and he was like flipping through some records, and some friends of ours in another band thought he was like a hobo who had wandered into the party, and they like kicked him out, and you know, a little bit. They like kicked him out, and we had to go running. And no, John, come back! Like, what the hell? And they were like, dude, you.
How did that guy get in here?
John Porter out of the party, and they were like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Right, many of those records he probably had something to do with. That they thought he was trying to steal.
Yeah, he had great rock stories. He had like a million rock stories too, that he was always sort of laying in, you know, to the middle of it about, you know, various people he had worked with and stuff like that. It was like such a sort of a lesson. He told me this one point when we were working on drum stuff. He was like, every drummer has every drummer, every drums track in a good song has like a gait, like a way it kind of walks. And at that point, we were listening to like Motown and, you know, various stuff, but like also we were listening like a sort of listen on the speakers to Back in Black, to AC/DC, which is still this kind of like record people listen to, you know, to hear the sound of the speakers and everything. And he was like, he did this kind of walk of like what the song Back in Black is like this giant who's coming back to the village and no one can stop him. And he's like, and dun, 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 and I thought about that so many times.
Sure.
It's partly like record producer bullshit, you know, but like it was I think about that all the time now. If I hear a song with like a cool thing, I'm like, what's the gate here? You know, like so he was always dropping stuff. But when it's a guy like that who's accomplished and you're a little in awe of and who's clearly knows what he's doing, when they say stuff like that, it can have a real impact, you know, that is different than if your peers say it, you know, say the same, you know.
Very otherworldly. So listen, I don't know if you guys are prepared to go over like each and every track, because you know usually I do that when I do an album discussion on the podcast. So are you? Let's see, what are there? There's 12 songs.
Yes.
So did you want to go over the 12 songs?
Go for it.
Do like a track by track. We could keep it brief if you, unless you got a really good story behind it or something that we can share. But okay, so side one, track one is Sorry Again, which was the single also, or one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And can you guys talk about Sorry Again?
I can't think of anything offhand about the recording of it, but I do remember hearing it on the radio. That was the first song of ours that I had heard on the radio. And that was fairly pivotal for me in feeling like, oh, we might be getting somewhere.
I mostly wrote that one, and so it's special to me. And the opening guitar riff I kind of ripped off from "I Will Follow" by U2, and I
can hear that a little bit.
The rest is sort of my general songwriting motif, like just strummy open chords. I don't know. And then I think that Sarah, you and maybe Archie at Input kind of rephrased the chorus a little bit or something like that. And Archie plays the cool guitar solo, the kind of surfy sounding guitar solo on that one. And I don't think that was a song that ever gave us any trouble or anything. I think it was pretty straightforward song. But I do remember though that was the first song that we mixed, and we said, and we knew it was going to be a single or potential single. And then we said, we'll do this one first and we'll come back and mix it again at the end when we feel like we have something different. And we didn't have time to do that. And it's always a little bit, I always think that other stuff got a little more reverby on the snare and stuff. And so that's my in the weeds. That's my in the weeds thing of it, is I wish we had maybe just mildly taken one more crack at it. But back then, like you couldn't. Now you can just call something up and make an adjustment and you're done. But then you had to basically start all over again with all the, the controls on the desk and stuff. But I don't recall that was a difficult one or anything like that to record.
Was there any kind of pushback about like the style of the music or anything, or like the style of the production? Maybe a better question for that. Like he didn't like want to make it more glossy or anything, and like there was this, no, we can't make that too glossy. This is like in indie music. It's not supposed to be commercial. That kind of discussion.
I don't really recall any discussions with him about particularly about wanting it to be like more sonic or noisy versus having a little more sparkle and sound to it. I mean, I think I think that we just kind of like quietly, at least not that I recall, but at least we just kind of quietly were on the same page about everything. So, and I mean, that's again, to go back to the guitar parts he was adding. He put some guitar parts on that I tried to later like add to our live performances and things that I think really helped the song a lot. So, yeah.
Sorry Again was used in a Volkswagen commercial for like a couple of years, and it was actually a Super Bowl commercial with these Weimaraner dogs, and they're sticking their head out of this back of this Farfennugan Jetta or something.
On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers.
Sorry Again. Now I'm talking about. Don't forget. So the Woohoos and Sorry Again. The Woohoos were my idea, and they said I was crazy. People were like rolling their eyes, and they were like, "We'll humor him." I was listening to the Stones a lot, and it's very like Stones and like Pavement and stuff. But yeah,
I love that part actually.
Sympathy for the Devil, but everybody was like, and now I'm like, yeah, they should have been louder. We should have done it more.
Yeah, I actually like that part very much, especially, who is it, Brian, that you take off your glasses and do this?
In the video, yeah.
Yeah. And our dear friend Craig, who was our sort of sixth Velocity girl who's passed away since, who toured with us and stuff. He's in on the Woohoos along with, I think, me and Brian and Kelly. I think it's purposely not Archie to not have that voice, kind of a contrasting. Yeah.
So he didn't want to be part of the Woohoos.
Well, I think we wanted to have it contrast because he does the sort of response
to the vocal. Yeah, okay.
So I think we wanted it to just have a different. It probably wouldn't have mattered, but we probably just wanted a different timbre or something.
Just the three of us wanted our vocal credit, and
there's only one thing left to say. Track 2.
Yeah, that was the one where I had trouble with the drum thing. Although, in retrospect, like it was to the point where I came very close to suggesting, or maybe even I did suggest, that we call our friend Adam, the drummer, and who's in Shudder to Think and Jawbox and stuff, say, hey, can you come and take a crack at this? I was really in the depths of despair with trying with that song. I know, but the thing was that I think that the problem in retrospect was not that I couldn't play it. It was like I didn't get it, because once they did the edit and had it together, I never had a problem playing it again after that. It was more like I wasn't really getting it somehow, but once they put it together, it's that song has never been an issue to play since then. And I'm glad what I'm really glad though is that John stuck with it to get it where it needed to be, instead of finding some half-ass way out, we'll change the part to accommodate the shitty drummer, it was, I'm glad of that. So, but yeah, that's a traumatic one. It's really fun to play. It's a really fun song to play. And we don't have any other songs that has that kind of rhythm. So I think it stands out.
It's a weird process, I think, recording in general, because what you're describing, Jim, is like, there's almost an element of, I need to hear it before I know how to play it, but you can't hear it before you play it. So, and it's almost like I feel this way about anything I've ever recorded, where it's like, once the recording's done, it's like, okay, now I know how I should have been playing it and how I should have been doing it the whole time. I mean, it's kind of like a revelation where you just almost want to go back and like, can we just record the whole thing over again? Because now I know how to do it. I do it.
Maybe you guys remember. I don't. Whether we played many of these songs live.
I think we played a few. I think maybe there were a couple. I think we were playing live beforehand, but
I think everything on side 1 was covered on stage.
No, I mean before we went in to record.
Okay.
Yeah. I maybe a couple, but and I also don't recall if we demoed any of these songs. I don't think we did in a significant way. No. Not long after this, we got like home recording equipment, and we would do more demos. But I don't recall we had a lot of time ahead of time for this, so we maybe just did like boombox recordings or something. But it's probably the kind of thing where like a demo process would have been helpful, to get kind of real quick, rough versions of it to listen to and be able to say, oh, that's the part. That's the song,
Tripping Wires is the next one.
Notoriously difficult song to remember how to play. I think it took us like a month after this reunion started, because that song sort of started with me. There's my general guitar riff, and I couldn't remember it for anything. And I thought I did. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the right chords, and everybody was like, no, Brian, that's not the right chord. And it took us a month. I mean, piecing it together, I think one chord at a time until we figured it all out.
The vocal harmony stuff is great on this, Sarah. Did you come into the studio with all that in your head?
I can't remember. I don't know if I thought of it beforehand or if we came up with it in the studio, but I do. As I was thinking about, there's only one thing left to say, and Tripping Wires. And I know we're not there yet, and Rebel, but I don't know where it came from. It could have been John. It could have just been where we were as a band, but I was feeling very confident vocally. Like I was in good voice, as some singers say. And, those high notes were caught really well. They were recorded really well. And I love to hear them, even though I don't have them quite. Like I can get there, but they're not as easy for me. Just in general, those two songs, and when we get to Rebel, I was kind of feeling myself. I was like, okay, I sound pretty good. And I don't know that I'd ever really felt that way before. It was another boon.
I just want to say that everything on the record sounds totally level. You can't tell if anything was difficult. The next one is "I Can't Stop Smiling." Another single.
This would have been I'm pretty sure this would have been a mostly kind of Archie song, right? And sort of co-vocal thing. And I remember the intro for sure. Archie was really into like the Beach Boys at the time, and I think that the beginning is very kind of Beach Boys / Jackson 5, like
oh wow,
has that kind of vibe. But then I think the body of the song is kind of, there was a lot of stuff like there was kind of like Ride or stuff that has this kind of like not dancey like Manchester stuff exactly, but sort of that kind of groove kind of thing that was, I think, that makes the feel kind of unique from some of the other songs, while then going to the back to this sort of like 60s bop 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 chorus part.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that I always felt like that was a big Beach Boys influence song for Archie, and because I know he definitely wanted to keep the guitar parts, I think, in those verses and things very like simple. Like he didn't want anything sort of playing it too much into the vocals to give them room.
No counter melody or whatever on guitar.
Nothing like that. I think he wanted to keep it straight chords there for
And I think this is there's like a radio edit or something, right? Like isn't
I think there might be
all of this. There's cut down middle part or something.
Probably the spacey, noisy part in the middle is sliced out, I think.
Yeah,
or edited.
I remember coming up with the harmony with Archie. I'm pretty sure we did that beforehand, before recording. And I wasn't expecting, first of all, I'd never really heard a song with that kind of harmony. Like almost the entire song is us harmonizing. Well, me harmonizing with his lead. And that was kind of unexpectedly delightful. And I still really enjoy it. I don't know, when was the last time we played? October a year ago?
Something like that.
Yeah.
December a year ago, right?
Yeah. There's just something about singing an entire song with somebody and harmonizing throughout. It just felt really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the video for this, the video was fun for this. This was a video we shot with Spike Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And here, he's from here, but that we shot in outside DC. And he stayed with me I might have stayed with folks or something, but he stayed with me for a night or two. And we actually recorded like 5 songs together in my home studio at the time. And we called our band Cousins Forever, which was this graffiti next to this restaurant called El Tamarindo.
Was it written in Spanish or English?
No, it's Cousins Forever in the graffiti's in English, yeah. And one of the songs went uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, siete. That was one song. And I have those tapes still. But we we're wearing all these ridiculous clothes in it, and we went. I don't know if anyone else was with us, but him and I went shopping in Prince George's County and Laurel and stuff, these thrift stores, and bought a ton of this stuff. And it was insane hanging out with him, because he was like, we went to the first thrift store and we bought a bunch of stuff, and he was like, okay, now let's put all this stuff on for the rest of the day. And so we put on these stupid clothes and then went to other thrift stores. And like at some point, he was wearing a wig that we found. And we went to the Tasty Diner in this town, Laurel, and in wearing this stuff. And he was totally like natural doing this. I was like, felt super self-conscious. But anyway, we did it. And then when we were done shooting this video, he shipped all this stuff back to Los Angeles. And some of it is in the Beastie Boys Sabotage video, which I think they shot like the next day or something like that.
That's so cool.
No, so I've never tried to follow and see the costumes or whatever, but I like to think that some of it made.
The one where they did the cop show parodies, right? That's the one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna have to watch this is the video again. Gosh, that's incredible. And Can't Stop Smiling is a great video too, by the way.
Thank you.
It is. It's fabulous. I love your videos, guys. The All Consumer is the next track.
That was another one I think that was Archie's origination. I don't recall the degree to which everybody usually the songwriting would either start with somebody coming with a riff and then the whole band playing on it until we all had parts, or some came with like more complete songs. I think Jim and Archie mostly. But that's one of my favorite ones to play live. Really enjoyed both the vocals on it and just the song in general.
Yeah, I like that song. Like in the course of an album, like I would try to have ideally, have a variety of different beats and feels and whatever. And that one starts with this thing where I'm clicking on the side of the drum, the rim of the drum, and I like that in the intro. And there's just something about the guitar lead the melody part you play, Brian, that has a slight, not atonal, I'm not sure what the right word is, but it's slightly like, I don't know, whatever mode or scale it's in, that's got a real distinct kind of like vibe to it that I really love listening to. It's always I think this song is one, along with a few others, that has pretty much always been in our set from the time that it was created.
Yeah, another co-lead situation that just, I don't know. It just feels like it just sits really nicely the way our voices. We have very different voices, but they work well together, just like peanut butter and chocolate.
And I believe the next one is Drug Girls.
It's a rocking song. Probably the most rocking kind of song on the record, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Another sort of live favorite, I think. We pretty much always play this live. I don't remember the origin, but tell the story of the lyrics, Sarah, of your lyrics on there.
Yeah, so there was a story going around, obviously in the 90s, about these girls that got caught with pot or something in either Thailand or Vietnam, and they were like in jail for life, and pretty.
Were we like in England, and this was like a tabloid story on the English
Probably,
tabloid?
it was everywhere, and that was the
Okay.
that was the headline: "Drug Girls."
Right.
I think they might have eventually gotten out. There was a movie with Claire Danes.
Brokeback Palace, or Broke Down Palace. Sorry.
Is that what it is? You might be
Yeah.
right. And I've got to think of the other actress. She's an English actress. She's very beautiful.
Judi Dench.
Yeah. Yeah. She, oh shit, what was she in? Oh, she's been in so much stuff. Yeah, it's completely gone. Anyway, two cool actresses made a movie about it after the song. Too bad they didn't ask to use the song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great song to like hold the microphone and make some rock star stances up there.
So anyway, now let's move on to side 2 if we're talking about records. Of course, if it's the CD, it's just the next track. The next song is Rubble.
I really love that song.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's did it start with you or Brian or Kelly? I can't remember who. Somebody started the guitar.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I can't remember who started. It might have been Arch came with like, but I think this was one that was very much like the band built it up out of nothing. Like, yeah, just like somebody came in with one. I mean, this would be a typical practice: is somebody just comes in, hey, let me play this for you, and then somebody would just play a thing, and then everybody would start finding their parts to go along with it, and then like the next practice would be like, okay, I got to, another part to go with that, and I think that one just kind of grew out of like.
There's a good John Porter story with this one. So, often players, will have a little part they just play some cover, some other song, a part just to warm up, or you just instinctively play it when you pick up your instrument. So, at that point, I often was in sound check and whatever was playing this Jimi Hendrix song, the intro to this Jimi Hendrix song, "I Don't Live Today." And it starts with drums. It goes doom doom bada boom doom doom psh, doom doom bada boom doom doom psh. No.
I love that song.
No. Do you live tomorrow? And anyway, and I was playing it, and John recognized the part. And at some point, he was like, "Hang on, play that Hendrix thing a little faster, a little faster." And anyway, he recorded me just playing it and spliced it in. It's in this song. It's a little breather thing that happens in this song. I guess he felt it needed to get broken up, so it happens, I don't know, a couple of times in this song. So when you listen to it again, you'll hear it. If you know the Hendrix song, you'll hear it. That was a thing that was totally his idea to put it in there. And he also told us at the time that he had mixed one of these. There's like a million terrible Jimi Hendrix live records, like, that they just put out the bleed. And he got a job mixing one of those. And he told me there was no, which I think he had just finished not long before that. And he had that song in his head, but he had said there was no audience mic. And so he used the applause track from The Who, Live at Leeds, That was the applause track he added to this Hendrix record.
This is all stuff I love.
All this stuff, yeah.
That is so awesome.
I can't remember the reason why we never resurrected that live. Oh, maybe because I can't sing it anymore.
I think someone used their veto power. That song, I think everybody had like a veto of like certain songs. We just, I don't know, whatever reason.
Yeah,
didn't want to do anymore. I do remember that song has the has like one of like every song on the record. I think has or there's one song on every record that has a like a long outro part, and I think that's the one on Simpatico, where the song kind of just changes and we have this long like coda at the end.
And on the next record, one word on the next record is kind of that song, like cobbled together from pieces with the long
outro.
And John Porter plays a really nice guitar part on that kind of like ding ding ding. I can't hum it, but this kind of high, guitar part that's real nice on that.
Yeah. I remember building the melody. I think maybe Archie and I did that, and I just like the kind of minor chord beginning lower in my range, and then it kind of shoots way up there with the major chords. It's kind of one of my favorite dynamics. I'm like, I have this desire to try and sing it right now. I'm not going to do it just to see if I can find that note. I don't think I can. Not going to do it. Sorry.
No pressure. It makes me appreciate the songs so much more now. And can we talk about Labrador, the next track?
That was you, Brian, right?
That originated with me. Yeah, that's another one that we don't play. Archie played a 12-string guitar on that within a I think it was a 12-string and with a very an alternate tuning that is lost to the history of Velocity Girl. Nobody remembers what that tuning was. But yeah, that song definitely is kind of the standout as being sort of like a much different vibe and mood than the other songs. It's a little bit less. It's still melodic, but a little less poppy and more stripped down. I think I was I had Stereolab in mind or something when I was with it from the opening riff.
And on the drums, I'm sure you mentioned Stereo, but on the drums, the whole verse I wanted to play like very Stereolab. There's no fills, there's no dynamics. It's just don't like it's. I want to just have that like insistent kind of driving thing. But the chorus, if you want to call it that, this other part is kind of the turnaround from the cars from Just What I Needed. When in that car song does that same turnaround where it goes dun 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 dun, dun you come in here dun, 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 and wasting all my time. But they do it the second or third time around in the car song. But that was a very clean lift from that part. Yeah,
that was great. I mean, that kind of. I think the song needed like a signature change.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was my idea. I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure it was yours. My memory.
Yeah, but I remember precisely. It's it's exactly that thing.
Because we never resurrected this one, correct?
Yeah, again, because I think it's Archie's tuning on his guitar. He can't. He doesn't. We don't have any memory of what that tuning was.
This happened to a couple of the copacetic songs too that are in alternate tuning, maybe the same alternate tuning, but that we couldn't figure out at all.
Mm-hmm. And there's another version of it too that's on the EP.
That was one. That was one that as I was referencing John Porter's cutting down song, like that one was the re-recorded version of that with the drum machine is much longer. And a little bit, it has like we got it a little more psychedelic and put some more sounds in there, and I think that the the more stripped down version that's on the record, John was just like, yeah, this is too long. We need to like chop, a verse out of this, or shorten the verses or whatever we did. So yeah. So we at the time I remember us saying like we're going to re-record this for an EP, so we'll do the longer version on that.
And I think the origin of the drum machine, having a drum machine on it, was literally that I just bought a drum machine, and they were a pain in the ass to program at the time. And it was very laborious. You had to do each kind of bar and measure, and it was really easy to mess it up. But I sort of did it since I was so insistent. Since the drum part is so straight and insistent, I wanted it to even be more straight and more like robotic. And I think I have a dim memory of us once maybe playing it live with the drum machine, and I walked around and made a fool of myself in the front of the stage or something stupid, or walked away or something, and hit the button. Or I don't remember, but I remember being really proud that I programmed this simple beat all the way through to the end without screwing it up. It was like infuriating. You do all these button pushes, and then you play it, like you got something wrong and you couldn't figure it out. So there you go.
That I think that Sarah, that was that the song too that you sang into the headphones to record the vocals for the re-recording of Labrador, not the one on the album, but the drum machine version. We did something where we used like a headphone as a microphone, and you actually.
I do remember something like that, but I presume that was on something we did with Bob Weston. That sounds very Weston-y.
I might be misremembering, but there's an effect on your vocals. It kind of muffles it and messes with it a little bit. We just with that re-recording of Labrador.
Sadly, I can't remember that distinctively.
I'm probably misremembering.
Well, it's fascinating. I love that there's two ways to do it, and the next one is "Hey, You Get Off My Moon." Very
Kelly, that was Kelly's start, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came up with the guitar part for that.
Possibly,
yeah. He's more sensitive than us, so we wouldn't come up with something like this. He's more into the best way.
He came up with I remember. Here's a distinct memory of which I have few, apparently. But so yeah, he came up with I believe that was his guitar part, and he came up with that phrase, "My sister keeps messaging me, and I keep telling her to stop."
Hi, Bethan.
Oh, you know my sister Bethan. Oh,
yeah, she was friends with me online for quite a while, actually.
Oh, sweet. That's so sweet. Yeah, so Kelly had that line, and he had the guitar part, and I remember sitting at the kitchen table at the house it wasn't in Silver Spring. Where was the house that Archie lived, where we practiced?
Oxon Hill.
Oxon Hill, yeah. Sitting at that table on a sunny day and coming up with those lyrics.
It's a cool takeoff on, "Hey, you get off my cloud." Like, it's a cool,
yeah,
very cool. Yeah, I like on our records, and I think it was in retrospect good decisions to try to have like ballads or whatever on each record.
That's what I was going to say too. That's another like motif in every record. There was like a one kind of ballad, slow song that we always.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and there's an instrumental on this record too. I noticed. That's really nice. That's a Kelly thing. Okay, great. Yeah. Gosh. I hope when we do this again in several years, we get to see Kelly on here too. Yeah. He's the only one that hasn't been on yet, It's so fabulous. I love that. That's, like it brings it back a little bit to Copacetic being, this quirky record. But I love that one. And the next one is Mediocre, which I guess is supposed to be a play on words for like mediocre.
I think that was Kelly as well, or was it Archie? Or was it you? Who was it that started that one?
Wasn't me, but
I think it was Kelly.
Yeah, this song, if I had to pick one to cut, it would probably be this one. I'm not sure it's that, killer, but it seems a little more like previous era of our songs a little bit or something, or I'm not sure.
It's hilarious that it happens to be named Mediocre, and that's the one you want to cut. Har.
That's a shame. I like that one kind of, but it reminds me a little bit of that song we were talking about last time, the one that you guys did that was on one of those independently released singles, but it wasn't a single, it was an EP, and it had different people on it. And it's the song called "What You Say," and I was basically saying like a lot, like this was a really good song, and I wish that you had brought it back or something, and you guys didn't really remember much about it. So,
well, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Oh, okay. Okay. I guess I have to now.
Months or years or something or another, that should be out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely hear that in the song, though. It reminds me of that particular song. So Mediocre was, and then, that's a good one. But the next one is What You Left Behind. That was recorded twice too, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's on the other thing. There's a sort of this outro. I think that's the long outro. Yeah, it had a real long outro that we had to really, we couldn't have two long outro songs, I guess. I don't remember, but yeah, I don't. The
one that was on the compilation, was that part of the same recording?
I'm sorry, I don't remember if it is. Let me. I'll. You guys discuss. I'll
just say on the record. Yeah, I don't remember that. What that was for. That. But yeah, we kind of just on the album, that outro is a little bit shorter, and then we kind of just lengthened it and used it for something else. But I don't remember if that was from the Porter recordings or not, or whether we did that separately.
Yeah, it's the one that was on Echoes of the Nation's Capital #2.
So this says that it was recorded at a different studio with Inner Ear with Don. So then I guess that means that the What You Left Behind reprise is from a separate recording.
Yeah.
Okay. In any event, that's cool. And then Wake Up, I'm Leaving is the closer, and that's the instrumental.
Yeah, that was just the guitar Kelly had. Yeah, Kelly played that by himself. Yeah,
by himself. So that's like it's almost a solo recording.
I don't know if we discussed it or if it was in the mix or he just was playing it and they recorded it. I
think I
remember he played it into his bass amp. I think he played one of those like old cheap Hagstroms I had into hollow bodies into a bass amp. I don't know why I remember him playing it through his bass amp, but I don't know. We discussed this and this was part of the plan all along, or you remember?
I don't really remember. I mean, I just sort of remember he had it, he really liked it, and we were just kind of like, yeah, okay. And I think we went along with it. I mean, I think John Porter was kind of scratching his head about why are you putting this on the record? It was just so short, but it's very, I think
it's cool. Yeah,
I like it. I mean,
and the song title is such a great. I mean, for an instrumental, it's such a great. It's like a Raymond Carver song, short story or something. Or the whole the shortest. There's this joke about the shortest, the best short story or something ever. And I think Hemingway wrote this thing that's for sale, baby shoes never used. And it's status story. So this is 2 words shorter, I guess. So
there's not much I can really add to it other than interesting way to close out a record like this. And it just kind of, you think to yourself, is this the intro to something? Is there going to be a big and everybody comes bursting through? No, it didn't happen. It was just the piece by itself. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes something ends an album and it's that quiet and that isolated. It feels like you need to sit with that for a few minutes before you put something else in.
I love it. I think it's
getting
great, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I definitely like it a lot myself. So, are there plans for doing appearances coming up for Simpatico, or like were we just gonna stick to the group party and things like that, and stuff like what we're doing today, just like the
Yeah, I
occasional
don't think
appearance
there's
on the
any. I
podcast.
don't think there's any live plans for any live.
Mhm.
We haven't really discussed it in a while. I mean, it's proven difficult. I mean, just because Sarah lives in Seattle, we're here in DC. We all have families and kids and jobs and everything. So the logistics of making it happen are difficult. And we don't want to overstay our welcome.
The shows that we played, I think we all agree, felt like really special. It was great to go to New York. It was great to go to LA, playing here. And I think it was a really good opportunity for us to connect with fans, people who like the band on social media, then in person. And a lot of people traveled to the shows, and it was incredibly humbling and a really great experience. But I think it might get a little diluted if we just went and played again and again and just kind of did the same. So I would say, probably from my perspective, never say never, but probably that's it. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really nice, though. I mean, it's nice that at least like some things come out of it, for sure. What is the future for the recordings? Is it something that we're allowed to share right now, or do we still need to keep it under wraps?
You mean like the third record?
Yeah. Gilded Stars.
I think Sub Pop will probably cross that path when we get to it. They didn't bring up doing this one until after Copacetic came out. There was, whatever. So we'll see. It's interesting because I think the general agreed upon, thing was that the third record, a lot of people it didn't resonate as much and whatever. But like, it's been incredible how many people in this reunion thing talk about that record to me anyway. Like, I feel like just lots of people and lots of requests for songs off that record, and just like to me, a somewhat surprising number of people have really clued in on and mentioned that record, which is nice. I mean, I like it. I think there's some really good songs on it and stuff, and I think maybe especially if you came to the band after the fact, and you just listened to these 3 records on Spotify or whatever, like, I think it's, I think that a lot of those people, it's resonated with. So, I know I'm able to, but we do have another thing. We do have, hopefully, coming out in months or a year or something like that. Hopefully, well, less than a year, a compilation of all the early singles and stuff, and some unheard ever stuff in that batch. Some interesting cover. That song "What You Say" from the Simple Machines thing, and a bunch of stuff, most of it except for my forgotten favorite, I don't think I've ever been streaming. So that'll be, as well as people who of course want to buy a physical copy, but it'll be a really good chance for people to be able to hear stuff that was just, you'd have to buy a 7-inch now and have your friend tape it or whatever. That'll be really exciting to have that come out, and that'll be on Slumberland that our early stuff was on.
I love it. That is so cool. That makes me happier than you can imagine. Oh my gosh, thank you. I just realized something. There was another song from the session, wasn't there? A song called Marzipan that was on the EP, the Sorry Again EP.
Yeah, it wasn't recorded with John Porter, but that was one of the songs we had kind of percolating around at the time. But we recorded that at Inner Ear, but and it was put on the Sorry Again CD EP that had the alternate version of Labrador with the drum machine, and another song called Diamond Jubilee that Archie was one of Archie's songs. So yeah, so those Marzipan and Diamond Jubilee were kind of new material that we recorded separately from not with John Porter. That got included and are on the second disc of the new Simpatico reissue.
And those decisions are always a little tough, but like I think that like often I think it's not so much like, oh, this song isn't as good as these, but it's more like, well, we already have 3 of this similar tempo or a similar vibe or something, you know, and it's probably more important to keep the record, any record, not this, but any record, kind of what it is. And I'm glad that this, I mean, it's 12 songs. The original record is 12 songs, which is maybe a little, maybe it's 1 song too long in my idealized version of records, but the CD era, man, people were making records with way too many songs, even records I love and stuff that feel like Happy Sweet's Girlfriend, total CD era song. It's like, I love it, but like maybe it could lose 2 songs, not because they're not good, but as far as a listening experience, you know. So I'm glad we didn't try to like jam all of those on to the same record, you know.
Yeah, I agree, and I'll give you a compliment, Jim, because I remember with Gilded Stars and Zealous Hearts, the next record, you had, I think one of your comments when we were deciding on the track listing was, "Maybe this is a little too long." And I remember at the time thinking, no, we should put all these songs on it. And in retrospect, I think you're right. Maybe we could have cut a couple songs from that record, and I appreciate now, like, definitely Simpatico's brevity.
Yeah.
Sometimes the leave them wanting more approach is a good approach.
also, like when I go see bands live, like, let's wrap it up, fellas. Like, you know, like we don't need 2 hour. And then you go to the movies, and every movie's like 3 hours long, you know, and it's like everything's got to come. Our attention spans are not growing, people, you know.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I personally would love a 2-hour Velocity Girl set.
Just for you.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Your eyes
Thanks,
only.
guys. We're gonna get you over here in Clarkdale, so you can just do it in my apartment, okay? Okay.
Just thanks to everybody who's buying the record and listening.
Thanks to
Thanks
Sub Pop.
to you having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to bandmates.
Yes, please give my best to Archie and give my best to Kelly, who I haven't met yet.
Will do.
Yes,
All
definitely.
right, take it easy,
All right,
everybody.
guys, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks
And
a lot.
I will talk to you guys again soon, I hope.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, thanks
Bye.
a lot. Bye-bye.
The Gen X News.